Sterring, pictures and buttons, is Sterring, they're like Sterring.
Hey, I'm Kunta.
And I'm Peta.
Welcome to Black Sterring Radio, a podcast where we dissect TV shows, films, music, and culture
To ask how black women are represented and seen on screen.
Alrighty.
Okay, we're back.
Hello.
Hi.
Yay. Welcome back to this really beautiful day.
Yes.
We
It's a
have
nippy
another.
day, but it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it is a little cold. Joburg weather is weird.
Wind
Oh, no,
has,
but we've
yeah.
been having some heat, eh?
Have you?
We have been having some heat. You guys were in Cape
I've been
Town. We were
away.
having some summer
It was hot in
for
Cape Town
like
too.
3 days or so, actually. 2 or 3 days.
What happened to us as a country? 3 days of heat is good?
I mean, I'm not saying it's
to
good.
Joburg.
It's something we have to
I
take
know,
this
because
weather
it's
is
been raining
crazy.
more than
it's crazy.
usual.
It's crazy. But
Yeah.
welcome back, guys. Welcome
We're
back to the Black
back.
Sterring Radio.
Yes, we have another special guest today. We are continuing the Masterclass series where we are
Yes.
looking at people who are crafts, who are masters in the industry, who are very well respected, people whose content we love, who we love to engage with. And yeah, we just kind of want to get into a space where we are having more meaningful conversations around how we all got here to be
Yeah,
behind
absolutely.
microphones or
Yeah.
have bylines.
Because there's a lot of skill.
newspapers,
There's a lot of
magazines, or whatever.
knowledge.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a skill set for everything. So outside of that, we also have Black Sterring Awards coming up. Yeah, we're gonna look at all of our favorite
Yeah,
actors,
guys.
actresses, shows, soundtracks, whatever, all the
Yeah.
fun stuff. But I will hand over to Quinta to introduce.
Our guest.
Our
We have Fezokuhle Mthonti, who is an arts and culture writer, a journalist, a creative, and a podcaster as well.
Miss
She's got
Know-It-All.
Miss Know-It-All. I love that name. I love it, and you can get into why you named the podcast that. But welcome, yay!
Thank you. I'm just going to add historian as well because I work really
Yes,
hard to be a
absolutely.
historian.
That's the most important. That's the most important, actually.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks, guys.
Awesome,
I'm really
awesome,
thrilled to
awesome.
be. I was saying to Peter earlier, I just haven't been visible on the internet the whole year,
Yeah.
so I'm glad to be
Yeah.
debuting my internet
Your
appearance
face, giving us your face. It has
on
been.
the Sterring.
Is that like intentionally? Have you just been taking a social media break? Because that's fine.
No, I mean, I did take a social media break in January.
Okay.
And then now I think I'm just not super keen on my face on the internet. Just for 2 seconds. It's not going to last very long.
Yeah.
But I am, yeah. And I've always been this way, even in kind of my creative practice. I feel like when I don't necessarily have anything to say, I do need to take that time to like hibernate and think through things
Yeah,
and
hey?
like make sense of what I think about the world, what kind of like interior things that I have to resolve that's making me feel like my voice doesn't need to be in that space anymore.
Okay.
Um,
Wow. That's a lot. I mean, not in a bad way at all. It's just a lot of reflection.
Yeah,
Definitely,
and I think I get into these like very
You have
specific
to.
modes at certain times, and I think I'm in one of those.
Yeah.
But
hermit
yeah, I
mode.
would absolutely love to get back onto the know-it-alls, but it's just right now a little bit like internet is a bit scary.
The internet can be terrifying.
It's very scary.
Guys, what's
Terrifying
happening?
place.
Hey, although I am having so much fun on TikTok. Hey, it's like
Ooh.
TikTok is. It's crazy. Though.
As a
Like,
creator
it
of
is, that's
TikTok,
so
or
No,
as a consumer of
no.
TikTok?
As a consumer,
Okay.
listen, I am not content creating
Okay.
necessarily. I feel like it's oof. I respect content creators.
Yeah,
100%. It's so much work.
100%.
That's
It's
why
a
I'm
very
not content
specific
creating.
skill
Yeah,
set.
it really is.
It is a
lot.
yeah,
of
it's a kind of
work.
literacy as well. You kind of have to understand what it is. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, so consuming bad, I'm a monitoring spirit. No, I'm just consuming and it is so much fun. Like, and I'm really loving this concept or this idea, this reality of an algorithm the fact that we are not all experiencing the same internet now.
Yeah.
100%.
And it does speak to how, we're not really experiencing the same reality.
Yeah.
So but I am enjoying TikTok. The internet is a crazy place though.
Same. I mean, yeah, I'm always twofold about it because as a consumer, it's so fun. But then I also really enjoy creating content.
Absolutely. It's the brave ones, hey?
But I also think
it's really, truly, I'm always like...
I think, it can be weird. It can take some, well, I mean, for me, at least it took some getting used to, but I think what I liked about TikTok is how random it is.
Yeah.
In that, like, it doesn't have to be, like, super curated and, like, high quality cameras.
Yeah, it's
and
true
blah, blah,
about
blah, blah,
TikTok,
blah, blah.
hey?
Somebody will rant in a gown, hey, about
On the toilet.
different KZN blankets we use in winter.
That's the thing. It's
And
like,
that
what are we
will
talking about?
become-
What are these topics? What are we
The video
dissecting?
I watched this morning, someone was thanking April. They were like, "Thank you, April, for
That's
all
also a thing that's
the 4-day
happening.
weeks. We thank you. We
Yeah,
thought
I
December
saw
was the
that.
month, but you have really come in.
Yeah, I've
You
seen
really
this
have.
TikTok.
Given
You really
us
have.
Jesus' weekend.
No.
Like, what
Absolutely.
was a Monday in April?
Yeah. It's been a
and it's
good
completely silly, but it's really nice. I feel like I learn a lot.
True.
And then also get to laugh a lot on TikTok. But I also do like that it's completely random.
Yeah.
It feeds into your weird hobby.
Yeah.
It's almost like what Tumblr used to be. Remember Tumblr?
Oh, yeah.
It was always
Tumblr.
very
Yeah,
specific.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It was quite a rabbit
weirdness.
hole that you would go down Tumblr as well.
Yeah.
But tell us about your podcast. Tell us before we get into, or should we get into content first?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
let's get into
okay.
content. So we have this lovely feature.
Yes.
Where we share what we're like into, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be deep or not. It can be deep. It definitely safe space for deep.
Okay, so mine is it's a bit of a deep cut.
I love
if
it.
you know,
That's my fave.
If you've been on the internet for a long time and consuming the internet, you will know Evelyn from the internet. Who I love.
I remember Evelyn.
And I think in very many ways, when I watch contemporary Black podcasters and content creators, particularly with like a sense of the world and a sense of politics, but also incredibly like themselves and silly, I think we've all kind of replicated some of the DNA of her.
Absolutely, that's so true. Hey?
I think that she's like hilarious.
She's
and I think
iconic.
there's something about like being in your 30s and being committed to being silly. And, you know, there's like, I am so deeply committed to that, which is
deeply committed.
100%. And I think this is possibly the success of the know-it-alls is that, you know, it is like thoughtful and historical and political and like a critique of culture and so on and so forth. But it is also really silly.
Yeah.
And I think, so Evelyn from the internet is I love her. And she's doing a Thirsty Thursday series, which is so silly, but it is so like
Tell me more.
great. So basically she like gives you a particular drink like a mocktail or a cocktail,
okay.
or at the moment she's really into
Your mind
teas.
went to the gutter, didn't it?
At the moment she's really into like brewing teas and so effectively like Thirsty Thursday is
In the literal
It's a
sense.
thing now.
yeah,
Okay.
it's now she makes the thing for you, but there's like lots of silly commentary on it. There's lots of like observational humor. I really like that. She's also just like sharp. And
She's everything.
Yeah, and a
She's
journalist.
also like so smart.
Yeah, and I
Whip
think
smart.
incredibly smart. And so, I mean, I see her, and then I like really am excited that pop culture is back.
Yes!
And that's
Oh my god!
Hey!
That's my That's my content.
OG.
I was like, and they are just
Vloggers.
listen. Pop culture, hey,
We love
missed
pop
those
culture.
girls.
exactly,
I
and
miss
then
those girls.
also created a kind of DNA for South African
100%.
podcasting,
100%.
and particularly Black women like us.
Yes.
And so it's really interesting to watch folks be very much themselves, but like kind of there's real DNA that's shared. There's like lineage that's shared in the kind of, and it's really interesting because I think there was something about, I don't know if this happened with you guys, but there's something about like watching Evelyn being like, that could be my friend. And watching the girls from pop culture and being like, these are totally my friends.
They are totally. They are totally.
Do you know what I mean?
We're all friends.
And then there's something about like understanding that your worldview is not this particular offshoot. It is in fact one that is shared, and there's like this kind of experience to it. And then there's just a silliness to it, right? Like the thing about Noise Wise is she's ridiculous.
She deserves. She needs an award. She needs an award. She's getting an award. Like she is, and all of them have pop culture, bruh.
Yeah, like
hey, and it's like we watched them like evolve as well.
Yes,
they're women.
Yes,
They're
they're
like
moms. Like they're moms,
As
you know.
women, yeah, like-
and it's like there was such a authenticity about it, right?
Yeah.
Like which I resonate throughout with Evelyn as well. It's this like just sitting, putting the camera in your face, and then letting that magic, authentic you come out. And it's like, oh no, with pop culture.
So good. Man. I mean, I think about when the TikTok ban happened in the States and Evelyn did a live. And it was just so ridiculous, like in terms of a setup, but it was also really interesting to think about like politically what this moment means, what it means for the states of the world, the kind of like cultural signifiers that this is particularly shifting us into. And it just was like, you know, just, and because I come from being in academic spaces a lot.
Yes,
and I think we can get like bound by what Lewis Gordon calls disciplinary decadence, which is basically like an obsession with
almost,
the purism of the particular discipline. And that's interesting as well, that the idea of the word discipline is to discipline you into a kind of thinking. And so we like get bogged down by that and all of that nonsense. And there's something about just like the ways in which Black women are able to always articulate, make sense, and clarify in the most democratic way possible. And then you add like a bit of popular culture and silliness to that. And to me, that's like the thing that I want to see, the thing that I want to replicate, the thing that I want to be part of. So Evelyn, pop culture, really excited to know that the OGs are still doing some really fantastic work.
Yeah, and I hope pop culture is coming back, right? It looked like
it sounds like they are making a bit of a comeback.
I can't wait.
I love that. What's your content for the week?
My content is actually Standard Bank Jazz lineup.
Oh, Joy of Jazz. Hey,
Joy of Jazz.
Joy of Jazz. Sorry.
Esperanza.
Jasmia Horn.
Michelle DeJoy.
Oh my guys, Michelle DeJoy.
Jose James.
I'm like, that is such an elite lineup, but I have some
It's an
notes.
insane lineup.
Oh,
I have some notes for Standard BZ, the bank that we all bank at. I hate the convention center, number one. It is not the venue. But I guess it is.
Do you
Where
know?
we go?
So do you know what I find interesting, right? Because I'm thinking of that, and like off the back of Cape Town Jazz, also at International Convention Center. Like, who decided that
Jazz
this is the thing?
was before in Newtown at the square, I believe. If not, because they would actually like build a whole tent there at the square.
Okay.
And I get the acoustics of it all. I get the staging. It is jazz. We have instruments. We need voice. We need technical to work. But I'm just like, that venue, hey. There's something about Sant in the North and the cultural associations of that sometimes feel like we're losing the jazz that I love. You know, the one from town, but I mean, we're all jazz lovers, 100%, but I'm so excited about that lineup. Number 2.
Very cool.
3K. 3K as in 3,250 rands. For a 3-day pass.
Oh, the price.
Yeah.
We're getting into price now.
Oh,
Okay.
whoa.
Because at
Wait.
first you said 3K, I said, Andre, 3,000? Then you said...
No, I'm not talking
Hold on.
about 3 stacks.
There goes
I'm so sorry.
There goes Sterring. No, but say again.
That is the amount of money that we're paying.
That's insanity.
So,
Did you guys not know?
So no, I did not know. But
Just hadn't checked
what we
yet.
should talk about
it
briefly. The price isn't me, or is the price of concert tickets gotten
Guys, what's happening?
a bit out of hand?
Yeah.
We are living in a
It's a bit
hectic
out of
economy, hey?
And you know what? I think there's multiple things at play.
Yes.
Here. There's folks needing to get paid. There's venues that need to get
This
paid.
is true.
Yeah.
Things
There's
are expensive.
People are not
today,
sure
yeah.
whether or not there's going to be enough folks that are going to actually come into
Yeah,
the venue. So
there
they
is
set
that.
the price
they
high
set it higher
to
for the
offset
shortfall.
it. But there's also like a crisis of folks not being able to then
afford
the arts in this country. It's become quite ridiculous.
yeah.
And it's also like, I mean, now you need to think at minimum, like 1,000 rand is probably going to get you into the venue, and then you're going to eat there, and then you're going to drink there.
Because
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just
Because it's a whole day.
yeah.
Do you know what I
And
mean?
you need to get
And
there.
everything is inflated
Yeah.
once it's there, right? Like
Once it's there,
A
we're
Coke
at the
is
airport
gonna
all of a
be
sudden.
shut out.
Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
at the same time, I agree with supporting like
Artists,
working professionals, right? These are professionals who, you know, but it is quite a chat, like
and steep.
to be had, especially where we are right now. And the truth is that people do go. It gets packed. It gets
Yeah,
packed. So
it does. I
But
don't
we're
know,
also in
because
a
it's like
venue
you wanna
crisis.
See, we are in a
Oh,
venue
yeah.
crisis, but it's also like you go
where
because you
else,
want to see. I've never seen Esperanza Spalding,
yeah.
so it's like
What do you do, bro?
I can't like.
Yeah.
I'll save my little monies until September
Yeah.
because the Esperanza Spalding.
Yeah.
You know,
Oof, and it is
so it's
such an
just- it's
elegant.
just- yeah, and
for
it feels
all music
so
lovers.
nice to be hearing music live will always just
No, it's
delicious.
perfect. It's perfect.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
really,
I would
really
say
good.
to add to that critique. So, like Cape Town Jazz Festival usually has like a festival before.
Oh
like,
yes, the free
Yes,
concert
they do.
on the
Absolutely.
Thursday.
And I really think
love
Standard
that
Bank should
free
like
concert.
So
think through
to that
yeah.
point, they did have a free concert last year.
I remember
at
seeing
Nelson
parts of that.
Mandela
Yeah.
Square. Yeah, that I went to. So they had
Oh,
Kujenga played,
really?
and so did Auntie, I'm forgetting. But yes, they had a free concert. That was really good.
Sisonke
Actually,
Mthonti.
you see Sisonke Mthonti.
Yes,
There you go.
yes,
Sorry,
yes,
the
yes,
name is
yes.
escaping me.
You're also like a huge music nerd. Which
I am.
we all-
Yes.
I am.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is
That's
And I'm
you
yeah,
heard out about it.
arts
Yeah.
journalist as well.
Listen
so this
now.
is it was my
Listen,
actual
hey.
profession to care about arts.
Yeah. Hey. And it's
Yeah,
like,
like it's so that and for me, again, I stood there and watched them, which because I was like, Nelson Mandela Square is so random, but they
Yeah.
put up a stage there, and we were all like, this is so good. We would have paid for
wow.
this.
Okay.
No, it was excellent. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do appreciate that they are trying to do a better
I hope
job
they
of
have
like
that.
the
We'll
free
see.
show before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But it's never gonna be
But
the
not even in
international
Santon.
act.
Like I would like put it at Mary Fitzgerald Square.
Yes.
Let's just
And
go
then like
back.
make it a little bit like accessible again and like
Open it up.
And so
Open
that
it
the
up.
idea of the freeness is legitimate, right? Like because there's
100%.
something about like Santon City
That-
that's letting you know that
that it's
not all of us are, you know what I mean?
Because we were also like, I mean, people who are eating at like Big Mouth or you know, like La Parada or whatever, like can hear it for free because they just
it's like
sitting
a
there
nice
having dinner.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so
There is a
definitely I don't know, it feels like a missing middle in some ways because it's either like things are in Santon or things are in town.
Yeah.
There's
Hey, we
no
don't.
space that's the middle.
There is like this extremely unequalness. Like it's like, but it's also spatial. It's also spatial with South Africa. Like, it's not like you can go to Soweto, which absolutely you can go to Soweto, but that's a different world. Like there's this like the middle, the where, you know, and it used to feel like town, but I don't think it is anymore. I don't think it is town. I don't I mean the middle at all.
Not because Untitled is still quite pricey.
Yeah, I think so.
Untitled is-
Yeah.
And honestly, I do love
Untitled is
Untitled.
pricey. I also
I love the intimacy of
Yeah,
shows
absolutely.
at Untitled.
my
downstairs.
But it
critique
is,
of
but it
Untitled
is.
is the columns. Because if you sit in the
because
wrong
if you sit in the
downstairs,
wrong
you're
place,
done.
Yeah,
You're
it's
done. You
finished.
can't
It's
see
done.
the whole
anything.
night.
Can't
So
see.
that's
And
my
I'm
thing.
always like, the ticketing is hectic because if I'm paying $250 here to see my fave, hey,
Yeah.
I want to be able to see
Behind
them.
a
It's not-
column, I want to fight you.
But
So
then you have to be there.
that's my thing.
So
With Untitled,
also
I have to like
Get to
at
shows
4.
on time.
Yeah.
Already like doing my
Like,
face.
but you know what? There's there instances where I've even like rather sat on the floor because I said the column.
Oh,
no.
100%. I'm
Yeah,
also the
or
kind of person who's
stand.
like,
No.
wait.
I would rather just
This is
I'm going to
for
do
me.
there's a
Yeah.
carpet, or I'll stand.
But there is that like intimacy that like
it's so good.
It's so free.
It's so
like
incredible.
a dungeon. It's like
Literally.
you know, there aren't many rules. It's about freedom. It's
Also-
about gathering. It's about community. It's about sharing the space.
And I love how
you
the
know?
artist can walk through this.
Yes, absolutely.
Quite
Yeah.
literally sit next to
And the sound
you.
is
really
Yeah,
good.
it's really good.
Yeah, because I saw Langa Mavuso there not too long ago, and he did, I mean, typical R&B performer through and through, did a crowd serenade and went into the audience,
listen.
and he was like singing
And
in this
Langa-
girl's
Langa-
face,
Langa
and
is-
she was not, but he was literally like singing in people's, he was taking people's, he was sitting next to people,
Yeah.
and like,
Ooh, nice.
you know, so you got to feel like,
Ooh, and it
it's
depends
intimate,
on
it's
the type of
more,
performer then you are because Langa
Yes.
is very and he just
Yeah.
knows he
He
can.
But you know, there's a
Okay.
really lovely
Do the
venue, not lovely venue, but it is democratic in that sense as well in Melville. I'm forgetting the name.
Chiesa,
Yeah.
Chiesa's Pala.
And so
Ooh,
what?
How is that?
Yeah,
that name.
yeah, Chiesa something. That
It is actually
On the screen.
It is.
that's a really useful venue as well in the
True,
sense that
true,
it like
true,
creates a kind
true.
of intimacy.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
bit small.
True.
Like folks can like move
Yeah.
in and sit on
Yeah.
top. And I've seen like quite a lot of like I've seen Shane Cooper there. I've seen
Shane
Asha Gamete. I've seen
Ooh.
actually talking about content, I was gonna say Mabuta. The Welcome to This World, that first album is so good. It's in my cart at the moment, and it's the only thing I care about.
Mabuta.
Yeah.
Never heard
Shane Cooper. It's like a really bright jazz album. It's really
nice.
like, and it also feels really Joburg.
Oh, and this is Shane.
yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
this is
Then
his,
I've probably
his
heard
band.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You probably-
okay.
Yeah, you
probably-
absolutely have heard
You
it
probably
before.
know
so much.
it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that
Yeah.
bass that he just
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And so I was gonna say, yeah, that venue is also really, I think,
Melville will always
helpful.
be
It's just
so
not
cool.
like for the aesthetics. It's
Yeah,
about the
it's
music.
not for the
You know what I mean?
aesthetics.
It's not about
It's
like
not. Yeah, it's not Instagram
Traffic.
friendly
yeah.
necessarily.
And I think we should move forward in the not Instagram friendly things because they allow a lot of us to have an
be.
experience and like a qualitative experience versus nonsense.
Where I need us to move away from Instagram aesthetics, the restaurant
Industry. Let me tell you something.
I don't need the flower wall.
No, I don't need
or
it.
the nude minimalistic.
I hate
Is
it.
the food goods? Stop it with the
Where do we
aesthetics.
buy food? Hey,
And can
Also,
I just
it's
say,
so loud.
It is.
Why is there a DJ in the restaurant? It's like a club. It's so loud, dude. It's so loud when you eat now.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, guys.
It's kind of nuts. You're here and it's a putoi like hey, so like how is it? I'm like, oh my god. Are you still with that guy from last time? Yo.
And that's why it's really
so
lovely to
loud.
like franchise a place like Prawn, which is like
Prawn is
gonna get your
lovely.
amazing food.
Yes, Prawn is
Music is like
lovely.
chill.
Yeah.
And like it's not like, you know,
Yeah.
it's got a vibe, but it's
Yes.
not clean.
Yeah. It's,
I know there was one in Ilovo, but
Which one?
is it still there?
I don't think it's still there. I don't think it's
Okay.
still there. But prawn is amazing. Ooh,
Yeah, prawn
it's
is great.
It's
I
real
do
food.
like prawn.
What's
I do
your
like
content?
My content. Oh, I have to give it up to Ryan Coogler for Sinners, man.
Oh.
That was a movie.
The duo. Hey.
I watched it in Amex. You know, I watched him explain like, so you know, with his Oakland accent, and you know, like this. Is why
Ooh,
we should
Michael
watch
B.
it in
Jordan,
IMAX.
girl.
That is some of the
hey?
best acting Michael B. Jordan has done. 'Cause
Really?
I find-
Because there needs to be acting with Michael,
So I
hey?
find the man a little bit inconsistent, right? Because I first saw
Because I
Michael B.
have
Jordan in
critiques. Yeah.
Friday Night
Always.
Lights. Loved him in that. Fruitvale Station. Loved him in that. Somewhere in the middle, I was like,
There's just something
and then
about-
Killmonger as a villain, I was like, I enjoy that.
I also did
And
enjoy him as Killmonger, yeah.
now, cause so I went into Sinners not really, like I loosely knew what it was about. I was like, horror, vampire movie, cool.
Yeah.
I
But there's
was
like a
into
religious
vampires.
storyline
I was
as
into
well?
vampires. I did the Twilight thing. I did the Vampire Diaries thing. I did the True Blood thing. Like, I can get behind a vampire thing. So he plays a twin. Michael B. Jordan plays twins, Smoke and Stack.
Okay.
And they are opening up a juke joint in Mississippi. It's set in the mid-30s, 1934, something like that. And they're opening up this juke joint. They are back from Chicago. They just fought in World War I. And, back then you had to buy the land off the white people and stuff.
Oh, so it's like a...
And they go and fetch their cousin Sammy's. Yes and no.
Okay.
So they go fetch their cousin Sammy, who's a preacher boy. He plays guitar, very good musician. And then they are trying to gather people to open up the juke joint, but there's an underlying loom of like vampires that want to come in and basically kill some people, bite some people, do things that vampires do. Yeah, and I don't want to, I won't say more than that because it's such a good, genuinely one of the best movies I've seen in a really long time.
That's great.
Which, I mean, for me, the pacing was really good. Even in Michael B. Jordan playing a twin, it was very, because I was like, it's going to be like Parent Trap or like his body doubles. But they interacted even as twins quite a bit. So they tried to make it a little bit more complicated. But the acting was really good. The writing was excellent. I mean Ryan. But such a complex, if you like film, it is the perfect film to nerd about because there are so many layers, so much detail, so much cultural context, because even having a story set in the 30s in the South, it's usually black and white. To have Asian Americans in that story is like they could navigate both parts of the neighborhood because they had shops. So they have a shop in the white part of town and the black part of town.
Oh, wow.
But we're also speaking to Native Americans, and the knowledge, we're also speaking to like hoodoo and dark magic and ancestry. And all of it is based around like music and basically the history of music and how, I suppose, like how people can become, how other cultures can become parasites and in the literal sense of like vampires. Yeah. Okay. But it was quite a nuanced, complicated story about that, but it was really good. Oof. Yeah, so we all went in there not knowing, but it was nice. You know when you watch a movie with like a full house, so everyone was there and like people, everyone was screaming and
full for that,
and it was scary, which I appreciated as well.
Somebody said the writing reminded them of what Jordan Peele does. Is it? Oh my god,
it's in the wheelhouse of Get Out, where like it's a horror, but it makes you think a lot. And I also like when people can write a complicated villain as well.
Absolutely,
because it's like, you're the bad guy, but are you? Like you are, but you're not.
Yeah.
So almost every character felt a little bit complicated, and three-dimensional, and like so much thought was put in. Like it's a very good nerdy movie, and also just fun to watch vampires and black people as in the world of vampires and horror and
witchcraft,
like what that looks like.
I
love the addition of that. It was really cool.
The exploration of that right now. Like, definitely.
Yeah, but it was cool.
Nice.
Very
nice.
very
I
good.
really need to go see it. How long is it out?
It should be out for a while. Yeah, it just came out.
Easter,
so I know IMAX is limited release, and then it will still be a normal circuit. I don't know how long, but usually it's like a month and some change, but it's still out. Okay. But it's definitely a movie that feels worth going to the movies for. Because nowadays it's like,
catch it on streaming.
But it's, it feels cinematic in that way, which is really nice.
My sister just watched it and she thought it was
everyone
as well.
is just
I'm like
amazing,
waiting
crying.
to
go.
So much to say.
Wow.
But
need to see it.
Okay, that's all I'll say. Yes. So
jumping into it, tell us about Know It All. Tell us about yourself if you want to. I know it's like such a broad question, but maybe you can start us off with like your amazing podcast.
Sure. The Know It All's podcast is myself and Ayanda Charlie.
Yes.
Who's an incredible co-host.
What is she if you don't mind, like how do you guys know one another? You guys friends?
Yes, we are. And interestingly, I used to work at the Forge in Braamfontein.
Oh, okay.
Like the very the first team that kind of got it going. Nice. I was part of that, and I was the
wow, so you must be quite connected to the themes of that place.
So and also kind of like we're kind of thinking about like the values and the politics of the space and how we think about programming.
Yeah.
I was the performing arts programmer at the time, and I wanted to think about Miriam Makeba and think about kind of her political ancestry, and the Forge is connected to multiple activist groups across the world.
Oh, yeah?
And so we were all kind of thinking a little bit about what I think Miriam Makeba's birthday is in April or May?
Yeah. April. No. She's an Aries.
I'm trying to think of what like historical political event we were thinking about, but I will. Okay, I will figure it out at some point. Anyway, so I wanted to, given the fact that we were also performance based, think a little bit about the political history in the songs and the kind of messaging in the songs, and so. Andy Mkosi was like, there's this really amazing group called Thesis Zere. And
Thesis
and
amazing.
Yes,
Ayanda's amazing.
And so met Ayanda and Ondela and was like, hey guys, the brief is if you can just bring together kind of a compilation of Miriam Makeba's most like political songs, and you can reinterpret them the best that you can, and then we can kind of think about the politics of that.
Oh my God.
So that's,
yummy.
That's still on the internet.
What a fun project.
And so it was that I'm like, Thesis said, can you guys run the show back?
Okay, so they
Very
would then
nice.
Adapt and sit with the music and
Yeah,
almost respond.
and so we did a little I think it's about like 15 minutes. It's still online. It's somewhere in the Forge kind of repository.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was beautiful and it sounded amazing. And then myself and Ayanda started to hang out a little bit more informally, and the commune, I believe, is now in the Forge.
Yes, that's right.
But it used to be the shop across.
Yeah, is
and
it
so
in the
was
Forge now? Is it no longer
No,
across?
it's not.
Man.
And so
Because they do
she'd
share.
come around to like work, and I obviously was at work. And then we used to hang out, and that was really lovely. And then we just started talking about like
Chats.
and then also just thinking about like popular culture and being like, girl, but actually, and then she is a media scholar and an incredible investigative journalist.
Because the journalism of it all.
Yeah, and so I also am a
Yes.
journalist, and so it was really interesting to also kind of pair. So I come from a politics and history background, but I've also been trained in the arts forever, and so it was also really important for me to kind of think about my role, also because I was in the kind of like first iteration of New Frame. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it used to be a useful publication in the world, which is no longer.
Very short stint.
I
very
think
short
like
stint.
4 years, 4 years.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, that backstory is that backstory. But what was important for me, because I was the cultural editor and senior journalist when it first started, was to think about like culture politically, right? And that was the point of New Frame, right? Is to also think about the world in which we live from a particular prism. It's disingenuous to say Business Day is not to set particular objectives in the world when you read a Business Day article, and it's disingenuous to
all of them.
you know
have
what I
an
mean,
agenda,
like
yeah.
News 24 and so on and so forth. And so New Frame was also
Had an agenda, has an agenda.
and kind of had an orientation to the world. I'm gonna put it that way. And so Hayden and I were always like kind of thinking about things, and we're like, I think the first thing that we were like really kind of gave a critical lens to was Young, Famous and African. And that was just like between us two on a really long call. And then I think randomly, it's 2025, so 2023, we did like a live and had an interesting response to that. But we were thinking about the Bala family, and we're kind of thinking of like a critique of the Bala family.
Because they had a reality
kind of
show as well.
they
interesting
did.
characters and still do.
Oh, is it still going? Wow.
And then we were like, okay, we should maybe do a podcast. And like see tentatively if folks would be interested in it. And really curious about South African popular culture. Specifically. We were also really interested in like what the market is making very clear is that there are investing in the reality form.
Yeah.
And sometimes for nefarious reasons, I think because there's less kind of protection of
Regulation,
of the folks on board and the regulation, it's an easier product to make and there's a quicker turnaround. And so there is that, but there's also like an inflamed like zeitgeist where people are interested in people like throwing off like you know what I mean, like water and the fight scene and the nonsense and the whatever. And so we were like curious about like the literacies like that have developed a Real Housewives of Durban or a Real Housewives of Durban in relation to a Real Housewives of Atlanta, because they kind of like occupy similar worlds. I want to say Real Housewives of Durban this current season is awful.
I haven't
which
watched
makes me
it.
so sad because I was
We were all rooting for Durban. Rooting for Durban.
and I think Durban is our most
one-
like,
I think it's the
interested.
best.
It's one of our best.
I think it's the
right?
best
I think
one,
it is
to be
the
honest.
best.
It's the one
Yeah.
that works the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think even as an African franchise, I think it's better than
Yeah, it is. The
Lagos.
Nigeria
and
one.
whatever. I think
Wow.
it's
I haven't watched
the
the other
best.
ones.
And yeah, so there was that, and then we were also really interested in like questions about the history of our popular culture. So we would have a segment on that. And then eventually we started getting some cultural makers into studio, because I think that's a big part of having a podcast in that way. So, you know, our first guest was Zoe Modiga. We've had Dan Korda. We've had Spam Dlalose. I'm thinking of Zanom Tembu, who used to be on the Coconut. And that was a really interesting conversation to think about, like, what was like the state of the world when you were creating this thing, right? The state of the South African world. And I heard you guys talking about Melissa Tando's film, and she thinks one of the characters thinks about the ways in which they have been narrativized into whiteness. I think it's
Is it Jess? What's her friend? Is it Jess?
yeah, I'm forgetting her name.
I feel like Jess is such an easy white name to go for. Like it's like
anyway, like part of that episode with Zano was thinking about the ways in which Black South Africans, particularly who were proximate to a middle class existence, whatever that meant, were also being narrativized into a kind of whiteness, right? Like, and we see that with like the Coconuts and the what's the suburbia
Coconut Kels.
Suburban Bliss.
Suburban Bliss.
Yes.
And thinking about Madam and Eve and thinking about all these very particular comedic shows, but that were meant to illustrate what it was to be
South
a
African,
legitimate, Black coconut family or a Black family that is proximate to wealth. And this idea that white people had to know that, like, you know, the Blacks are coming into the neighborhoods, but they're actually quite civilized. Now, this is interesting because it narrativizes you, and the Melissa Tando film shows the quiet violence of being within those spaces. And like, and so it was really important to kind of think a little bit about that. And so the podcast is really interesting. I mean, some of Ayanda's takes, I think, are some of the best, like,
because from an investigative journalist point of view, especially.
Yeah, but I mean, I think she's also a really incredible media scholar. And so I think some of the real kind of like rich capacity with which she was able to analyze some of the shows. And again, still ridiculous and funny. But it was a labor of love last year, and absolutely enjoyed making it. We're going to find our way to the internet again at some point.
Please, you guys. It's such an important show. Also, like, it's something we were talking about with Bobby as well. This like this period in our history where there was obviously an agenda that we were unconsciously being fed, and a way of being, you know, like we were embodying a lot of that. And Melissa Tando talks about that as well. Like this, how did we get to be so disconnected as Black people, but also how do we get to speak like this? How do we get to be so
This is
like
interesting.
this?
I don't know if you noticed in the film, she calls the section on propaganda bewitchment.
Yes, that is what it is. That is what it is. She goes into so many themes around how the ways in, you know, how embodiment is just so important in casting the spell, this spell casting, which is what media is. Like, we're watching these things and it's semiotics. It's what we're absorbing ideas and when you look at it, it is casting some sort of spell. It is.
And then also the idea that like to be a particular kind of articulate black person must look like this.
So
which
many
of course we know
rules.
has like colonial legacies. I think more colonial than apartheid. And I think there's a really interesting way in which we kind of have to think about like that moment in the 2000s and we think about it as the kind of like golden age of SABC, which is true and legitimate. I think the writing was a lot better. I think
agreed.
Right? But there is something about the comedy space specifically, and this is interesting for me because comedy is really interesting in that it always allows you to do a double take without like
saying the
without
thing,
committing,
you're saying the thing without actually saying the
and there's
thing.
something about the
you can then get away with it
that makes you that you can
yes,
because it's a joke, right?
Yeah.
But like you think about the premise of the coconuts, like this family is like bewitched and becomes black. That is so heinous.
And also,
And
it's
then
like
comedy
blackface.
in
This is
blackface.
because it's also
blackface, but the idea that folks have to be naturalized out of this thing to be a legitimate, you know what I mean?
because if you think about the popularity of good old Leon Schuster at the time in the early 2000s, and there was a Zulu on his stoop, and it's Mr. Bones, and it's like
this like
all of this stuff
perception.
that we watched, and I think Mama Jack felt like one of the first movies we were all like,
Hey,
what's going on here?
some feels a little bit
And it almost feels like it is almost the language of humor in South Africa as well. This like this odd racial incestual weird like and it's like it's the foundation of it is relationship between white and black people, this like unconscious, and how then does it how does it live in a friendship where you have to kind of in a safe space where you kind of have to be yourself. How do you be yourself? You know, because it's
And
like,
I
hey,
think
it's fun. No, well, white. I mean, you go, you know, but like there is so much. There is so much behavior. There's so much coding. There is so much coding.
Yeah, there's so
Code
many
switching.
scripts.
There's so many scripts because even growing up in white schools, white spaces, you know, like the rhetoric is like everyone's the same, you're all the same. But then because we're black people and we have family in certain spaces and we'll go home, it's
and
like
you switch off.
You'll go to a sleepover and you're like, well, what Jennifer's doing at her house is not the same. Or like, even just the way that white friends would talk to their parents was always like, hey, well, that
the
is...
respectability.
We have different respectability politics because that we can't say that to our moms. We're all just kind of awkwardly standing there trying to see what will happen. But even like becoming more and more conscientized the older we got, all the chafes, all the discomforts, all the things that we had to deal with in and out of school and even on screen, to be honest. And I always think of in a comedic space like a Trevor Noah and how he's kind of wasn't as polarizing as a comedian. Because of Daywalker, you know, because people are like, is he... He's black, but is he?
And there's just something about...
And it's funny.
Image, right? Like... Trevor Noah he passes. There's something about him that passes for many reasons. You know, for many reasons. He's a man. He's black or mixed, or you know, there is that like. So there is a cross appeal that he had, but I think he's done well with his platform for that.
He has,
because he's he's I don't know. Like, because there is a perspective that mixed race people have. That I think he speaks to.
That he nails definitely, because you kind of straddle between two worlds to a certain degree. So you can make a joke about white people and about black people. Whereas like a white person making a joke about black people, it's always like, or even the other way around. There's always a line that you must toe.
Yeah.
But I do love that we're all nerding out as media students. And,
right, this
because
is a
honestly,
deep cut.
and I do have to say, even Nyanda, I know we were both in media class at UCT.
Sure.
Like but it was such a, and I suppose now we all kind of craving the lack of media literacy and like actual literacy, people not reading anymore, people not engaging the way that a lot of shows are very show and tell, and like,
and reality,
it's not
like it is it's like
intellectual
this,
anymore. It's almost like we've regressed the idea of intellectualism on screen, which is kind of weird. But what I did want to ask you is how you got into journalism. Like, what journalism did you consume growing up? Was it magazines? Was it newspapers? Like, where did it start?
Yeah, that's a question that I haven't thought about for myself. So my father always had the Sunday Times, and as soon as I could read, there was always like a cutout or like a small like version of it was at some point it was Super Strikers, but there was also something before that. And he would always say to me, read this thing and tell me what it's about.
Oh, nice.
So that was our little Sunday thing, and it was really important for me. And I think that kind of shaped me into thinking about politics and political philosophy, and that becomes a really important thing in my life.
Did you study? Did you take politics? Okay, cool.
And then I was really interested in magazines, right? Like and every kind of iteration of like Junior magazine and this magazine, and completely saw a life of mine that would have been like editorial in some fancy magazine and like the Joburg Girl, and also I grew up in Ladysmith, and so like the idea of like a cosmopolitan Johannesburg or Cape Town was so exciting to me, and the idea of that newsroom and to be in that newsroom was really exciting. And so that like is a big thing. Interestingly enough, the first time I wrote it in a magazine was last year for Your Luxury Africa, and I was so geeked out.
Oh, I do love that.
Is it like
it's about like
space? Is it?
It's a very like luxury space.
Travel, food, lifestyle.
I miss that. Take me back.
It's a really like high quality magazine. It's interesting because it's a little bit different to my general politics, but it is a great source of media, and it I think my first story is around Mary Sibanda, and I try to sneak in some politics in there.
Okay, and you have to with Mary.
Come on.
She was wonderful. I mean, already in and of herself, and like the interview was great.
Politics,
the interview was really wonderful. And so, and then kind of did a piece about some campaign, the Don Julio campaign, which is like a big thing at the moment. The Por Amor. I don't know if you guys remember this. And so then they had like Calvin Momo and various other artists. It's Haneem Christian's brother, very famous photographer.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
On the screen.
But didn't he direct the music video with A$AP Rocky and Anderson Paak?
I'm not sure.
Well.
Anyway, and just like there was what's his name? Really beautiful designer. What is his name? It's not Rich.
Tebe.
It's not Tebe.
Lucanio.
Yes, Ndingi.
Lucanio.
Yeah.
Ndingi. Yeah.
And so that was really like I was like feeling my my magazine. Like it just was such a. But in general, if you're reading a Fezokuhle Mthonti piece, it's probably going to be like really historical, political, and then kind of thinking about what this means in the world. So I think that was cultivated a lot in my kind of postgraduate part. So I did journalism in first year, and then I was like, I don't even like this thing.
And
then
in varsity was odd.
And then in odd. Why odd?
I don't know. know, Wits, the program, because also I found journalism
Odd because of Anton Haber.
Yeah. But also, like, I just find academia so stifling.
Okay.
And I found, but I love varsity. I love it so much, so much.
Question for
Yes.
someone who didn't go to Wits. Did you guys have journalism as a...
Yeah, it was a
course,
program.
as
it
a
was a program, right?
Yeah,
It was
well,
a program
at
Wits.
Rhodes.
Yes,
Yeah, and
okay,
Rhodes is
yes.
like
Yeah.
known for being the journalism school.
journalism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rhodes is who way.
Yeah.
You're a Rhodes journalist.
Yeah. I mean...
Barely.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't
like to.
graduate with a journalism degree.
Yeah,
but
but because I know at UCT it was very... Because
There
very
was that
similar to like... Oh my God,
media
I wanna write in a
studies
magazine. But it was literally
program,
like
yeah.
film and media
Yeah.
together in first year. And then it eventually split into like media
Yeah.
and then film. And then at some point, halfway through second year, you could specialize. for
Yes,
lack of a better
yeah,
way to put
yeah,
it,
yeah,
into
you
different
could, you
streams.
could.
So there was like a print stream, which I did, but lol, print is dead. So it's a story for a different day. There was a radio stream. There was a
Yes,
digital.
there was like a digital
stream. Yeah,
media.
yeah, like digital
New media,
yeah, new
mixed
media,
media type
yeah.
thing, yeah.
So we would all kind of learn, but it was never like straight journalism. So I'm always intrigued.
Yeah, I
when
don't
it
know.
is.
At Wits, it was very investigative. They're very like investigative, political, and I was like, I don't know if I want to. Yeah, so I have two questions leading up to this. Is that then going into a media house, like how was that experience for you, coming from journalism, or did you complete your journalism? I don't know. If you
so
want.
my undergraduate is political philosophy and drama. So those are the things I
Yes.
major in.
Wow.
And then I do an honors in politics, and then I do a master's in history.
Okay.
So
Okay,
all
so-
these different things. But I went to work at New Frame, and what was
Okay.
really fabulous about New Frame is that we had a really young staff, but also a really well-established old staff. There were some of the,
And those are the
best-
old guards. They're not going to change about it, eh?
But some of the best writers
Yes,
in
absolutely,
the country.
absolutely.
So Noreen Tulsi, Percy Jamoyo. We had like quite a large group. Gwen Ansell.
was Sean O'Toole there?
No, I don't
he
remember.
Just stayed at Mail. Yeah.
But I mean, Gwen Ansell was really important for me coming into as a culture journalist, and kind of became a mentor for like 2.5 seconds, and then kind of did her own thing. Because she has the repository of South African culture, and particularly of jazz. And, the Sis Gwen blog is, I think, one of the most respected blogs in South Africa. And so that was really useful for me as well, to kind of get a sense of what traditional journalism, long form journalism can look like, and then kind of thinking about it on the internet and making it a digital archive. And so it was really exciting to go into a newsroom. I feel like a lot of people don't have that experience anymore, especially if you're a digital writer. So the idea that we'd go into a newsroom, we'd have multiple folks checking the work. So I would do the final edits after a writer has submitted to me, and then you'd send it to your sub editors, and then you'd send it to another sub editor, and then
sub-editing,
you see the news editor, and then it would go to print. And that was really, really helpful. And it also like about process. And those are
about
things
draft.
that we don't
Process.
have.
Yes.
Those are the things we don't kind of
Process
have
is missing.
anymore in our newsrooms, right?
If we have newsrooms,
Also
do we
just-
have newsrooms anymore?
I mean, we have Mail and Guardian.
do have
I
energy.
know we
Working
have
at a
energy,
big
For me,
deficit,
like,
though.
even just the
working
practice
at a huge
of,
deficit.
like having to pitch and learning how
Exactly.
to pitch stories.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
There's so many little things that are lost.
Yeah. I have a pitch story. So this one guy, I don't even remember his name now, but he was effectively harassing me with this really misogynistic story that he wanted to tell about some jazz thing. Now, it also had no news value. It was for him.
'cause there's that as
I
well.
think
An
the
opinion
the
piece.
kind of media that he was reading is like the takes and the cut downs and the salacious kind of thing. And I was just like, hey, New Frame just doesn't do that. This man harassed me so much so that he then sends it to like the main editor, and the main editor's like,
Goes
dog,
past
have you even like read
this
any of this publication? But it's also really interesting, right? Like the different ways people think journalism can and should be.
versus what it actually is.
Versus what it actually is. I have a weird thing now about like first person writing, because I don't think that's journalistic necessarily. I think that's a feature.
Absolutely.
Too close.
And so now, I also have very like specific, disciplined, ways of thinking about the media that I consume.
And write and create.
And I think there's ways in which things can bleed into one another. But New Frame was really helpful for me in that sense, in that it like opened me to a bunch of writers that I was so thrilled to work with, so thrilled to edit. I remember Kolega Putsuma being like, hey girl, can I? And I was like, this is incredible. Can we fix this and that? And how open she was to that process. I think Danielle Bola is one of the best writers in this country, and it was lovely to work on the desk, because as I was moving out of the role, she became the arts editor and did a fantastic job and really made it a queer focused space. What was also interesting is that because New Frame was specifically a workers' publication, what that can sometimes read as very like masculinist, and doesn't necessarily lend its voice to women workers or different kinds of work that women are implicated in. And so seeing Danny on that space also make it very queer specific was also really important to the conversation around workers, like, which is typically not the case. Or even when we think about jazz and we think about the history of jazz, we think about as a masculinist discipline, and not necessarily think about the ways in which women have contributed to that. And so it was really interesting to have so many different perspectives, and then to have some of the best investigative journalists of the time. I think there's that specific photo in 2008 taken by James Otway, who then became one of my colleagues, of the xenophobia crisis in South Africa. And it's the photo that made it like international news, right? And like at the time I was doing my dissertation on xenophobic violence, and so it was really also like to be sitting with a person who also was really
job almost.
And I mean like Dennis Webster, Jan Borman, some really, I think, incredible contemporary journalists who've kind of, because the publication shut its doors, we've all kind of had to like pivot and do various other things. But I mean, that was a really, really important archive. I think Atia Khan is one of the best cultural journalists. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
And also, like, I think you'll notice all of us who were part of that collective, our writing is very
similar.
Not similar or oriented in the same way.
Like
there's
a discipline. There is school. There is a school about it. I wanna ask you then your relationship to mass media, new media, like and your. I mean, at the time, the definite sort of the other side of the world was your Daily Suns, your that type of. Which I still think has an important place in society.
100%.
It has an audience. So I mean, what are your views on that in terms of what you do, and your themes as well? Like, what are your themes as a creative?
Themes as a creative is so broad.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to, or what do you champion?
Multiple things. I'm trying to think which question to answer first.
Sorry.
The first, I think, in terms of mass media or thinking about, I think you said Daily Sun just now.
Yeah.
And I've always been really fascinated by that, particular strand that captures the imagination of different people, because we've seen Daily Sun
Smut is what they
you
used to
know,
call
a
it,
little,
yeah.
and that's
Sensationalist.
sensationalist
Yeah.
and like a Dogolo
captions.
married
Why
my
is it
wife.
captured?
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's always
Like
The
OG
headlining as well.
Before clickbait
It's
was
so
called clickbait.
emotional. Exactly. It's like,
Yeah. They knew how to do like.
and you know what, right?
Cover
Like
lines.
actually, what I was thinking about when you mentioned the masculinized, or it's a masculinized framing that kind of lends itself to highbrow thought or purism, and that's very masculine, right? And how women's voices are intuitive. There's emotion, and that side kind of exploited the use of like, you know, the romance genre, like that kind of language, that kind of salacious. But that audience is women.
exactly.
That's audience.
I mean, I do want to say though,
Yes.
I think that people, like to say women are emotional, but I think particularly women that are
Intuitive.
creating knowledge are also incredibly cerebral in their emotionality.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I
They
think that's
think in emotion.
that's really valuable, I
that's what
think.
it is,
But there's something really interesting about that. But once you pay a little bit like closer attention beyond the clickbait story, there are some really important humanizing stories. And I think there's something about like getting a number of people to like consume this nonsense to then like page 3 where there's a legitimate, serious story. And I think there's something quite humanizing in the hilarity that is I mean, Africa, Ashil Mbembe, I think, thinks about this on the post-colony, a little bit about like the surrealism of African life. Absolutely. And I think that's
it's imagination. It's there. It exists.
Exactly.
It's like storytelling.
Exactly. And so
it's
there's
like oral
something,
storytelling.
And it can feel like it's so unbelievable that it's believable. Life imitates the art.
Yeah. And so in that sense, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I have, in my own work though, maybe this comes to the idea of themes. I really like to write about Black media. And that's when I'm talking about Istratamia, or I'm talking about, why am I forgetting this particular genre? Umaskandi, from a really cerebral point that I think a lot of the kind of writing around that is quite anthropological, and it's written by white men. And if it's not there, it's in Isolezwe, which is just capturing what happened, right? But there's no thinking about like
it's critique, and
like what's happening, the relationships that are in that space.
That would be lovely.
What are folks? And so those are the articles that I've like enjoyed the most writing. I think, like I said, I have a very strong workerist politics, and so you'll see that a lot in my work.
Workerist
in the sense that I'm interested in a Marx critique about what this world looks like and possibly how to shape and remake it. I don't think Marx is the end all and be all, but there is useful tools and information that we can extrapolate.
So when you say
from that.
Marx, just to expand upon it, is it the labor, the idea of the working class?
Yes, the working class is incredibly important to my writing and just my thinking in general. And then I think, it's always a critique. I mean, I don't know if I should say this because I nearly got into trouble because of this, but the last piece I wrote was around Palestine. And the reason I say I nearly got into trouble is because I was being interviewed for a particular program in the States. And I was like, hey, what are things looking like? Because at the time, people were being disappeared for even like advocating anything connected to Palestine. And just the idea of being in the States for whatever time that I needed to be there was horrifying to me, because people are being disappeared. Students just for like ticking a column, or and so this is it's an interesting world to have a set of principles and political beliefs. I think history will judge us incredibly harshly if we don't like make sure that those critiques are clear of the contemporary world in which we live. But I do want to think about like how then do we create like safety for ourselves in ways that mean that we also have livelihoods, right? Like a lot of friends who are journalists as well have
journalism is dying.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but the spaces for us to receive it feel like they're shrinking.
They're shrinking and they're being monetized, and we are being, you know,
like
pay,
out,
the pay
and a lot of us have
situation.
had to pivot out of journalism, like because there's just a lot of things have died.
Yeah.
Like I constantly look at magazine stands and how many used to be there.
Yeah, I mean,
just the ritual of reading
but the
Sunday
newspapers
newspapers
are still happening, but I
are
don't
still
think at the same rate.
Yeah, because people don't.
That's what it is, and I feel
People are
like
not reading. People are reading.
I feel like journalism is we've got to adapt. We do have to adapt, and there's something about breaking out of a mold that I think needs to kind of happen. And I was gonna ask how then, because it is like, you know, journalism thinks in a discipline, thinks in English, thinks in a way of being. How, if we're talking to the working class, you know, how do we speak in our own language? What languages are we?
Yeah.
How do we move outside of this language that's got us imprisoned, right? Like, how do we move outside of these disciplines? We have to move outside of these disciplines because it's so important to review. Exactly. That's archival work. Yeah. That's knowledge that we need to glean as black people, and we need to have a language for them, or we need to connect to a language for them.
100%. I mean, I also, you know, when people talk about South African music, they think particularly about
and
jazz.
music is such a site for that.
Yeah.
Because it belongs to all of us.
But there's something about like a spatial and a geopolitical thing that happens with jazz that makes it such that the rest of the country is excluded from the conversations about
jazz is academic.
The richness of South African musicality. And that's always interesting to me because it's kind of like, I think it was it Ngugi wa Thiong'o who specifically talks about he's not going to write in English anymore because of the like ways in which English has oppressed us and all these very legitimate arguments about the ways in which it is important to return to an indigenous way of speaking, of thinking, of articulating our thoughts. And there's a secondary conversation that is happening, though, there amongst other indigenous activists who are saying that you are also privileging a specific kind of language and you're making that as if it is the only language.
Experience.
And then you're creating
to have this
like,
experience. You have a black experience.
As if it is a monolithic
language.
And we must always remember that language holds power, it holds commerce.
100%.
It holds all these kinds of things. And so I agree with you.
It's a worldview,
100%. I think for me, thinking about these different indigenous musical forms in English allows the kind of bridge building between black people who don't have, because of the very particular project of apartheid, that we don't always meet in the middle. Which is interesting because Joburg is the best place because you can be like Sawubona and someone is
it's like
and someone and someone.
No, because even like the way they used to talk, which is actually how people still tweet at each other. There's still the running joke that South Africans, it's like half English, half like, but we'll still always hear each other. The music helps us hear each other. Writing about it also helps us.
Music, guys, the role of
hear
music.
each other.
And I feel like specifically South Africa.
100%.
You know, like my friend Umlando, he is always like, it's our tradition. Like we don't realize how much music we embody.
100%.
That is such a way of how we communicate. I feel like music is the language almost that we're going to need to just like really
100%.
you know,
but in terms
analyze,
of the broader conversation about language, which I think we've kind of been all touching at a little bit. It is. I was one of the discussants at Melissa Tando's viewing at Javits, and one of the things that I was saying to her, which I always forget the name of this academic, but he kind of posits that the last stage of oppression is when a child can no longer dream in their home language, and that is a kind of death that happens. And then I was explaining to Melissa Tando that the fact that I can't dream in isiZulu and sometimes struggle to pray in isiZulu and have to kind of mediate my imagination through English, which is a very dull language in comparison to our own languages. I was in a discussion the other day, and folks were talking about, you can hear in isiZulu the landscape changing in Durban because of the difference in the ways in which people are articulating and clarifying what it is, right? But what that lets you know is that that's a way of seeing, that's a way of being in this particular world. And so there's something about being locked out of your own context by using a foreign language. And so for me, it is also really important to pay attention to isiZulu, to consume as much Zulu media as possible, and then to... And that's a particular thing for me because there is a kind of insecurity because, again, we were all narrativized into whiteness by going to the Model C schools. And I think there's a bunch of us, actually.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
So there is an insecurity. And so I want to clarify that insecurity in my 30s and then kind of
clarify. Such a great way to put it.
Clarify.
Because there is
and it is an insecurity, isn't it? Yeah.
And the shame around it as well. And not
there's huge shame.
Being locked out and not being able to articulate in a specific language. It can feel silencing in some ways to rather just hey, you don't want to pimba. So
exactly. No, 100%. I mean, me and Pa were talking about this on my show as well. There's something about also my very first interview was with... I'm forgetting the name. He sings Imbizo.
Puza Chemist.
Yeah, Puza Chemist. Puza Chemist. So I call him and I'm like, that's amazing. That's about, and the legacy of the song and what the song means and just
what a beautiful song.
So that's the very first cultural essay that you see on Uframe.
Yeah.
And
well done.
I remember going in there completely prepared, knew all the accolades, knew had spoken to different folks. And
all your research done up?
All my research done up. And then I was accompanied by Utsuling, but she comes with me. She's the photographer, and we start the interview. And I am racked with the nervous energy of Sulsami is not up to par, right? In Joburg, I'm fine.
Listen, it's okay.
KZN,
in Joburg,
they will absolutely call you out immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
And also, there's a thing because my Zulu's from.
Lady Smith,
and that's fine. Completely,
yes.
all the way through. Anyway, so shame, this poor man. Also because my surname.
And where is he from in KZN?
He was from. We went to his home. I don't want to misspeak.
Okay,
but it was close to Enanda.
Okay, so
but I don't want to misspeak.
That's
Anyway, so. I'm so racked by this that I can't get the questions out.
Yeah, because they thought.
Yeah, and I also want to, and at the time, because I was such a new journalist, it was also really, I had come from the space of academia, and in academia, you have to clarify why your position is the way that it is, and then ask the question. And that, the joke around academics, it's more of a comment than it's a question. We're all kind of brought up in that kind of way of thinking. So I'm still kind of connected to that, and that's the worst thing to do as a journalist. You need folks to speak in their own words, in their own language, and their own kind of interpretation of things, and you can't make the judgment before you tell the story. Anyway, so I'm like, Baba, iguti, and Shame. He's like, Shame, you were so prepared at the end of the interview. You were so prepared, and I'm so glad that you knew all these things. And yes, that one is always gonna come out. And I really was like, there was a real shame.
Yeah.
Was what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like there was a real shame because I couldn't say I'm of this land. I too am from KZN.
Yeah.
But because I mean, even in school, Zulu was offered at my high school, but the kind of internal messaging from the teachers was that, you know, the Zulu teachers weren't as great, and Afrikaans was, you know, and so there was a subtle kind of racism and a clear kind of thing. And if you wanted to approximate particular things in the school and in the infrastructure of the school, perhaps do an Afrikaans. And it was incredibly subliminal. And I'm sure someone else will say, I went to school with Fezi and I didn't think that, and that can 100% be true. But that was my experience
That was
of
your
it.
personal
And
experience.
especially because I'd gone to a primary school that also was deeply deeply problematic in the kind of white supremacist thinking that is not overt to the parent who's
really
wanting
overt.
to
That's the real racism.
get a
It's
child
never.
through.
Yeah.
But it's like horrific once you kind of think about the ways you think about like the smiles of the teachers that like are disingenuous and like the violence,
this white smile that traumatizes and annoys black people.
and then and then it sounds like Model C kids are just complaining about nonsense because there's real you know violence happening across you know
more hectic issues
across town, and that's true and legitimate.
all of it is true.
But it is important to think about, like, South Africa is really interesting for me because, you know, South Africa had slavery, it had colonialism, and then it had apartheid. And I don't think a lot of countries have that same experience of horror, consistent horror.
Yeah.
And we are like 30 years after 300. You know what I mean? And that's not, and so it's always interesting, to go back to the conversation about like accents and why we're so obsessed with accents. South Africans are different to the rest of the continent who kind of understand English as a by the way, right? It's like Nigerians are just like, they break the language, they shift it, they whatever.
It is so
And right now in South Africa, like the trending sound on TikTok is umaxele on Uthandanis Tembu, like not being able to articulate a sentence properly in English. And
there's
that
as well.
And we'll laugh at that, and
like
it's
jokes.
and it's a joke, and like people are calling themselves because she says because exactly. And so that's, I think, South Africans, I think what we also need to deal with is the fact that we've also got a lot of racial trauma and a lot more racial
amongst
trauma
us
relative to the rest of the people in the world.
1,000%. I think
that there is an obsession with whiteness in this country.
because for me, I think I found it so jarring traveling. Like I got to go to South America, and me and my friend were like, I don't speak English at all.
Yeah.
It is just Portuguese, or it is just Spanish. And you'll speak English, and everyone there is like,
Girl, what?
stop.
Yeah.
No. So you have to at least try to say
Speak their
hello and
language.
speak their you at least have to know some sort of basics everywhere else. And we were kind of like, the way we've prioritized English in this country kind of sad and does us a disservice in a lot of ways, because for them, it's almost like we were forced to be almost too accommodating.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to
were bent,
renegotiate
we were bent.
what
And that's
doing
what-
the other thing looks
yes.
like. We're in the renegotiation of like, okay, if it's not this, then what is it?
And that makes you think about like our activists and how like Bigo's message is just always so, like, even your France Finance, like, it's insidious, it is quiet, it is non-physical. It's non-physical, the way that they're stealing us, they're stealing our consciousnesses, you know. And it's like, but even in that, our activists needed to speak in this like language. So it's like, it's such a heritage of ours. Our activists, our musicians are also like that. Mary Makeba might have spoken Isulu, but she was also quite colonized. We are quite
and
colonized.
so articulate in interviews to what was happening in South Africa. And like, she needed the knowledge of English to tell people in interviews overseas that like, not great at home.
And it's almost
Bad
like something
things
we
are
need to
happening.
reflect on. We still need to like reflect on it. We still need to reflect on it, hey? Yeah.
Well, that took a turn.
But where are you now? What are you doing now? Like, are you, as a creative, where are you? Because you said you'd taken a break from social media this year. Where are you? Where's your head at in terms of your career?
I'm doing a lot of research academic work.
Okay.
So lots of boring stuff. But
tell me about academia though, like the allure, the romance. You know, the addiction, the attachment.
There's something about when you are not raised to be obsessed with your looks, and also not necessarily being the prettiest. Right.
Or fed those ideas.
That makes a whole generation of Black women obsessed with knowledge.
With studying.
Because they recognize that there is a real social currency in the ability to articulate and clarify things in very specific ways when they do not have the clear pretty privilege and the currency that comes from. And there's something about that I need to be quite honest about myself with, like the obsession with the books and the reading and the thinking. And because one, I think it I think Pumla Kola thinks about like the writing and I think the quote is that a Black woman's mind is the most sacred and enriching space that it can be. And so this is what academia can feel like for me.
It is very interior.
But it is also incredibly violent space because it wasn't on purpose made for Black women. It wasn't on purpose made for Black people.
You go into the space and realize how we're so excluded.
And by design, right? And so it's also an incredibly hard, difficult space. And so if you've grown up thinking that you have this one currency over the other, and now that currency is being questioned, academia can become incredibly volatile, right? Because unfortunately, in the world in which we live, we're always trying to move through with various currencies. You know, are you cool enough at this point in your life to do X? Are you know what I mean? Are you like tapped in enough to be in Y? It's a very, and so for me, that's kind of been my experience with academia, is this like deep love and then this deep hatred and this deep isolation and sadness. And also joy, like extreme joy.
Because learning is
there's something about like there's this incredible historian. Sorry guys, my brain is going so slowly today. E.P. Thompson.
Okay.
And E.P. Thompson is an English historian and like an incredibly thoughtful historian. And there was something I remember thinking about like in one of his earliest writing, and like when it just clicked, there was actual euphoria in my mind. And that's such a nerdy thing to say, but there's such like joy in the word, in the nerdiness,
books
right?
are beautiful.
It's like a joy. It's like
it really is.
High
it's like
almost.
alignment.
And then I have to think about like what are my politics to this thing? Like, why is it such an obsession, and why is it so I think that's like a very like broad answer for academia. Can be like horrific and terrible and amazing, but I am hoping to move forward with it, but just did take a very long break from it as well. I think I'm one of these people who like really like has to like isolate and figure out what's happening before I can like return into something. So I'm doing a lot of research work thinking about ecologists and activist movements across the continent.
Okay.
And that's really interesting work. Creatively, kind of still very much in the ideation stage. I'm working on a piece with my friend Hallie Haller, who's an incredible filmmaker. In fact, I think content of next week, you should both try see Ecstatic Exit, which is incredible, like it's a sci-fi film that thinks about intimacy and thinks about the body intimacy and connection as a technology, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah,
because also
Black Mirror.
Very Black Mirror.
Yeah, I'm gonna, and it's
Yeah.
also it's a dance film as well, which is also really particularly
perfect
interesting.
body.
Yeah. On the screen, but I will send the link. But you can go on their profile, Halle Halle, and you'll find all the links to that. It's incredible. Or you can see it on Natal Media. I think they were the first people to think about it. So there's a lot of things that are kind of brewing,
cooking
in that. A lot of kind of reported work, and I mean, I'm always doing a variety of different things. I mean, I'm thinking I was in a film last year, and it was so interesting to not be the critic and to not be the, and to just be on the call sheets.
Yay!
And that was also really inspiring and useful, and it's something that I always knew that I was going to end up in, but I'm like really curious about the making of visual things. That's a real like obsession at the moment. And I think that's why I've kind of taken some time, is because I'm just trying to clarify what these interests can be, because I also don't think all interests have to be monetized and brought to the world.
That where we are at?
Oh my God.
Some things I can
You can just enjoy.
like
Sometimes
for
it's just for
yourself.
you.
Yeah, you don't have a hobby or like an
that is how I
interest.
feel
So
about books.
so this is what's happening to me.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
cultivating hobbies.
Absolutely.
So that I can see which ones can I like produce to the world, and also to remember that like failure is okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's something about like if you're an A-type personality,
hard
failing
for us.
creatively is very hard.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm in a quiet space at the moment, because I'm trying to figure out like what is the thing that you're like tampering with. But I am grateful that I'm like curious about a lot of things, and I seem to be relatively competent at most of them. So
You're really confident.
Slight.
But I think you're more than competent.
More than competent.
Competence is not the word.
Do you have any final thoughts on like Black femme representation in media right now?
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Yes, I think, again, kind of talking about the conversation about the ease with which people are able to make reality television. I feel like there's a way in which folks are kind of being scripted into villain, small villain, medium villain, big. And we're no longer getting stories that are contextualized specifically around Black women. We're not hearing, like, everything is about how salacious the thing can be. And folks are kind of entering in the space that they need to be creatives as long as they have a story of whatever salacious thing. And we've kind of lost the art of storytelling.
Salaciousness is what is
Because
just
so much zugs.
Yeah. But like beyond the sex, like I think we are not writing good
Three-dimensional.
female
we're not thinking
characters
about it.
anymore.
We're not
Yeah. And I mean I think about like Society, and I think about now that's a different golden age of SABC.
Yeah.
And there was a impetus to really write those folks. But you hear some of like the production teams kind of thinking about like this is just too expensive and it's not worth it. And like at the end of the day, there isn't money kind of moving the way that it used to. And there's also a failing SABC, which makes it even harder to kind of create.
that's a documentary.
Exactly.
That is a report.
Exactly. I remember going to Metro FM last year for an interview, and I was like, what is the SABC of my childhood? Like it's gone to, you know what I mean? It's just like the building in itself is
it's not looking good.
like the semiotics of that building.
Yes,
In
just
relation to what's happening in our country and the kind of like inability for us. But anyway, but I am interested in the way that we might see the character of Nandi in Shaga Ilembe.
Yes, he's coming out. Season 2.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a couple more female or femme characters that are being
And so I think
included.
for me that's going to be really interesting, because that seems to be one of the few productions in a while that have had real budgets and real writing budgets. And that I hope like moves us into a direction where it's not just that like this is only for critical acclaim, that there's like a investment in kind of like mass producing, you know, films that are successful, not so successful, that are, you know what I mean? I'm thinking about the Khumalos, and
Meet the Khumalos.
The Khumalos, and there's an audience for that particular thing, and there's a critique for that particular thing. But as long as we disseminate stories with storylines, you know what I mean?
We'll be okay. Yeah,
we'll be able to be richer.
It's not. Yeah, we're missing the middle, or it's like everything is either too salacious or overly comedic. Like there's no,
which is the reality.
It's like there's nothing feels
tropes.
smart.
You're just like
and we don't have dramas anymore.
Yeah, and dramas are kind
because
of gone.
adulting is not a drama. It is a pornographic set of.
Well, don't get us started on that.
That is like. Fine if there was
the
other
writers
things
will say a different thing. The writers and the people
that's-
involved will say a different thing. They will talk about
and for me,
character development.
No, I
this,
think to me also we always need to remember that and this is a thing I talk about with my friend who's intimacy coordinator, so is the person who and has worked with various productions in the country. But I think what is important is that part of it is telling the story, right? Like, so the kiss is also a narrative device.
The story.
The reveal of the décolletage is also
why
for particular narrative ends.
Yeah.
And what we have come into is just
for
bumping on
just for
just
and so
for
that's
bumping.
to me, and to me, I don't mind seeing sex on a television show, but now what is the
There's
kind
no
of like
reason
narrative value of the particular thing, because
How
we are
does it
still
move
kind of
the
telling
story along? How does it move?
and so this is why I think like it's not like we're not writing thoughtful dramas anymore. It's also
because adulting has so, and it's one of those things where it's
telenovelas.
like, it can feel like a telenovela and it has so much great potential. And I think because I believe the four of them and the chemistry and like them being friends, there's still a part of me that's like, this is an interesting case study on how male friendships are right now.
Yeah.
But there are things where I'm like,
And there's lots of like missed opportunities to really think about black masculinity. I think it was very like shallow.
Because it is shallow,
it's really shallow.
And they do, it's like they get in there and then they're like, I'm gonna pull back.
But
I'm
I
like,
wonder
no.
if there, like, I think we've had this conversation, is there space in South Africa to have a deep conversation?
Yeah.
Is there space for people to think deeply? Or are we? I think there is. There's me. There's me. So there is.
And there's a lot of views.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Because
us,
there's
you
also
know.
me.
But I think where the money is, where the narrative is, where the agenda is, like, there, you know, like there's always, people will always be like, but is there a budget?
Yeah.
Is there the money conversation trumps it all?
Because unfortunately the money conversation is real, right? Like, you know,
But it's like somebody's got to be.
I'm not writing as much as writing because people are not paying. You know?
Yeah.
And
is
that's
a
what we're
chat.
missing. I feel like
That is a
that's
chat.
what is missing is where are there any women writers in there? Like there's, because I see a lot of I see a lot of men in those, and I don't have anything against that. The stories, the writing exists, it's there, it's good, it's quality, but I think the perspective, that's what's missing.
Yeah.
That's what people think is something that you can just, like, you know, when you have marketing people in the room and you have money people, they don't understand that perspective is essential.
Incredibly essential.
Yeah.
It's essential,
You know?
like,
It's what
You need that.
you can like capture a zeitgeist from a thing that's not commercially like appealing. And we've seen so many versions of that happen in the world where people just like get it because someone like gave a bit of money to that project and swore like, okay, we don't know if it's gonna fully work. I think Showmax is doing a really interesting job of just telling different South African stories.
100%.
And I think we need to like pay more attention to those stories and have more legitimate conversations of critique. And that critique, by critique, we're talking about like reviewing something honestly and thinking about it deeply and thoughtfully and not just the hateful Twitter take. And we do have, lots of like potential for the media, but folks keep reinvesting in the salaciousness of reality. By the way, I want to clarify, I love reality, right? Like,
me too.
This is not me bashing it at all.
Same.
Definitely.
But I am aware of the kind of like constraints that make it cheaper,
That's what it
that
is,
make narrative writing that affect a general industry. Like there's multiple layers to then like platforming the one thing versus all the other things. So I'm a little bit like, but it is, I mean, there's creatives working on multiple things at different times. Just because it's not on Netflix doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And there's like so many examples of that.
This is the thing, right? This is the thing.
Yeah. But I mean, I think in a previous episode, you guys were talking about like the archive and the loss of the archive. And part of what that loss is that there's no money to keep it going, and it's unfortunate that it's always a commerce discussion. But like right now, I can tell you right now, Daniel Paula, Maneo Mohali, Julie Ngati, Melisando Bongela, if you were to pay these femmes,
Lindo, my sweetheart, I love this.
Right? I'm telling you right now, if you could make sure that these people are paid legitimately,
like, that's what I'm just
valued,
like,
and the fact that all of us have had to like create other things, right,
and move and trying to survive.
And
we're women. We need money.
We need a living wage.
But we need money. All the people that I've spoken about in that sentence are also interested in various things, which is why the writing is so rich.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you could just be like every 25th of the month, you are going to get a stable income. And because like a lot of those institutions have been kind of eroded by multiple things, and corruption being the leader of those things, and lots of white corruption, which people don't love to talk about. We lose all those things, and we lose
Cultural
the possibility
cultural
for
workers.
archive.
We're running out of time, but I just want to end us off on a light note.
I'm like, well, we all wanted to be journalists, but womp womp.
But music. What is the role of music in your creativity, in your creative practice, but also just your life?
Man, music is so... I always say to Zoe Modiga, Yellow got me out of an incredibly difficult...
We stand Zoe. This is Zoe's...
place.
It's a Stan account.
Nina Simone is the love of my life. If you know, even on my podcast, you'll see there's mostly Nina Simone vinyls in the background. I absolutely have, I think, a really like emotional and spiritual relationship with music, but I also think music can be ridiculous and fun. I think interestingly enough, a lot of people when they read my byline think I'm a man, and then when they meet me they're like, okay. And I remember this one, like Hotep King was like, oh man, you always write such political things, it's so amazing. And I was like, okay, sure. And and he was like, okay, my sister, what are you reading now? And I was like, sorry, what are you listening to now? And I was like, Ariana Grande has got such an amazing album. And he was broken. and like, what? Betrayal.
Expecting you to be listening
but
to
again, because of our code switching, so many of us live in that duality where it's like, yes, I will listen to Nina Simone and Zoe and Ariana on the same day.
In the same
ass day.
And I will listen to like
all of it.
Guys, all of it. All of it. I mean, my likes on Spotify are so
erratic.
Like
all
erratic.
over the place.
Yes.
Beep, 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 beep.
It's so ridiculous. And so, I mean, at the moment, I'm really interested in Coco Jones' album. It's really good.
Oh, yes.
She's a singer.
Doing
Okay.
something.
I like
She
that.
really did something there.
Please watch that live.
Yes, with
Terrell.
So good. And then also I think, like it's so good. yeah, man, music is so different. I mean, that's such a broad question, but it is.
Yeah, it is a broad
It can do so
question.
many different things. A lot of last year, I was deep into Willow Smith. I thought that album was insane.
absolutely. What she
It
came
was
out
so
with was
good.
amazing.
It
And
was
she
so
had
good.
Jazzy undertone.
I also want to say, Tando Zite, you are my queen.
Yes.
Oh
Give
my
us
god.
everything.
Frank Apollo, I think Yintle.
Oh, Frank Apollo, he has a very neo soul picnic at the end of May,
Really?
actually, with Leah Butler and a few other people.
wow.
So
Leah
yeah,
Butler.
I have
Get into that.
I have one of my
Yeah.
friends who lives in South Korea. We always like playlists are our love language, and I just made the same kind of like playlist with all the names that you've just said, and just being like, this is what's happening at the moment. It's just like and also I think what is also really important is that you can foray into so many different sounds. Apparently Seba Kapstad is gonna come
Stop
with a new
it.
album
Stop.
soon.
Oh
which
my
you need to if you see
Don't
Fezokuhle
treat me with a
Mthonti
good time.
at a Seba Kapstad, I'm so
Seba Kapstad,
I'm just
God.
irrational
I will-
because I'm like
because I also miss Manana and Zoe.
Manana's also doing a show mid-May.
Yeah.
No, honestly, two of my favorite voices.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just
100%.
I will always go see them because they do a show like
Always.
once a
Yeah.
year or something.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm so excited about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so apparently they have new music coming out, which is very exciting. And I think
yay.
Zoe has a new album coming out. I think
is
Pa has got something cooking.
Yes.
Langa has got a new album.
On the way.
That is on the way, yes, as far as I know. So yeah, lots of really interesting. There's a Brazilian Tropicalo playlist that my friend just made for me, which is just so fire. And like you could just like hear like that vibe in relation to like South African vibes as well.
I love that.
And then you
love
might
also
have to
with
share that.
And then I just
as
like
a
the
shared
girls.
We are
link.
so influential right now.
We
We are influential.
we are the girls right now.
Yeah.
And then I love my Queen Tyler. I think she's great, and I think it's so interesting to have that iteration of pop star, and it belonged to a South African
Absolutely.
group of people.
Yeah.
I will say about Tyler, not right there at the forefront of her music, but her production is amazing. Number one, her production is amazing. Whoever she's working with elevates her all the time.
Yeah.
And for what you're saying, like she is our pop girlie.
Yeah, she is our pop. But
One
she
of the
also,
biggest
she's
pop stars is South
powerfully,
African.
but also just like we also have a heritage of pop girlies.
Yes,
and a lineage of pop
from
girlies.
and we haven't had one
Exactly.
for a long time,
And
so
it's-
it feels big
yeah.
and grand
Yeah.
and like
It does. It is so
everyone is. You're at
Yeah.
Coachella
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
she's
I mean,
shaking
it's
it.
also really interesting
Outta
to
here.
me.
Shaking it.
Sorry, now we're going on a tangent, but like the kind of Afrophobia that she's experiencing in the United States.
Uh-huh.
And like everyone also being like she's taking from this queen or that queen or she's in her Rihanna era.
The xenophobia in the States
it's
is
this
an
it's
interesting
it's
species.
because
Yeah.
that has like a dimension to it that comes with imperialism, and
100%.
that's why
Don't talk about
that's
that.
why we that's
The
why even when you're like listening to
superiority.
the black feminists from the States, you're like something's missing.
Something's missing.
There's an internationalism that you're missing, and that means that your politics don't quite hit because you're still the imperial center.
And yet they
This
want to
is
call
true.
themselves global.
because did you see the thing about the Zulu parade in New Orleans?
Yeah, that was horrific.
Oh my goodness.
It was horrific. So they do this yearly Zulu parade in New Orleans,
Blackface.
blackface, half attire, and came up on TikTok, and a few South Africans were obviously like, what is this? This is offensive. But like, hey, could you guys take a moment to learn a little bit more about Zulu culture? If we're doing a parade, they shouldn't be blackface. And it became a war of like, no, but this, no, but that. And it's just like, sometimes you guys can't take a note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if it's Zulu, blackface, like,
And I mean, it's
In
interesting
2025?
that imperialism, because it's like it just there is something about the underdog that makes the underdog so much more textured and deeper, and smarter. Do you know, like there's a level at which we have deep African knowledge that they don't have, that they don't get, that they are appropriating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then to have to get a note from people who might think I look down on is hectic.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I remember going to a discussion in Harlem when I was in New York, and it was like meant to be this really incredible discussion with various important Black feminists. And what became very clear is that the orientation around Black feminism is about the people in the States. And what that means is that there's no activist spaces that build across. And internationalism is really important to your politics because it clarifies that we're all dealing with the same white supremacist thing. And
the same enemy almost.
But it comes at us in different ways. And so we need to sharpen our strategies. And so that's the point of intersectionality, is so that we can sharpen our strategies when different iterations of this thing come. And with African Americans, it's always weird. I always like, even when you're in the States, you're like,
isn't it just?
And like, it is a...
Yeah, I don't know about this. Yeah. And even like some of the best scholars, you're like, something is missing here. And if you don't have Black feminist theory that understands internationalism and understands queer theory,
this is what we need. We need to do it, guys. We need to write it. We need to create it. We definitely need to create it, because it's like, it's a lens that's definitely missing. And it's like we've been, the colonial project just killed us, because in academia you must refer to an authority, right? You must refer to an external authority in a distant land that doesn't have my body's intelligence.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We are so we're so narrativized into ignoring our body's intelligence,
100%,
which we need to dig into. Like that's our, you know.
Can I just say, for the last thing, for like music in relation to this kind of decolonial project, I think Thandiswa Mazwai is the most the album that we had last year was the most clear iteration of what a kind of decolonial, and I hate that word because we've used it so much it doesn't mean anything, but of a kind of project that could create new possibilities, because Michelle Ndechelo, there's a real understanding of what the kind of meaning of Sankofa is,
and the Mali
African
influence,
collaborators in Mali, and like thinking through all these different things, and thinking through South Africa, and thinking through multiple centers. And like, if our politics doesn't recognize that there are multiple centers, then we lose it. And so you get an incredible person like Thandiswa Mazwai do that so not effortlessly, because it sounds like the project took a lot from her, but is able to commit
to channel
a project that way,
and to challenge it, and to feel it. Because I was just telling Kunta, I saw at Jazz Fest this past weekend, but it feels electric. Like you can feel it in the room.
Powerful.
When she does everything from Nizala Ngobani, from Zabalaza, all the way to like, I mean, music really is very spiritual.
It is. It
really is.
And it also can just be the site of pure like euphoric joy, silliness, and joy
to the joyous.
And you know what I mean? And sometimes it can just be like nonsense, and that's fine too.
That's okay.
And that's fine too. And it just can also be like, I'm always thrilled playlists on my love language. That's how I,
and it is a thing, because pop is just as important as jazz.
100%. 100%.
As hip hop, everything has something to say.
Please, Gom is my everything.
And piano,
and,
it's all.
It all
we
has
need
its
all of
intelligence.
them.
It all has its intelligence. It all does, you know.
It can all let you think and let you escape.
Yes. Ooh, escape.
Yeah.
That's my fave.
It's
yeah.
nice.
Oof, this has been lovely. This has been a rich, wonderful conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm so thrilled.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled.
Amazing. Yeah. Yay. Alrighty. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Sterring.